Hey everybody, welcome. It is Friday, January 22nd, so it's time for another episode of Trucker Money. I've been having a hard time getting these done lately, I'm not gonna lie to you. So it's late on a Friday night, but I'm gonna get it done here so it counts for Friday. Man, I've been busy lately, kind of burning that candle at both ends, and then snap the candle in half and light the two other ends. So I'm gonna try and get back on track here and get these done. So if you're new here, Friday we talk about money, personal finance, investing, retirement, passive income, side hustles, everything outside of trucking. Get away from trucking for a little bit. It's good for the mind. It's a cold one here in Wisconsin this Friday. It's let me see what it is here. It's 2 degrees, wind chill of -15. So I might have to start the truck here in the middle of the video just to warm up, but let's just get this done here. So I like to start every week, not financial advice, just throwing ideas out there back and forth, maybe inspiring and motivating each other to get some things done. So every week I like to talk about what happened this week for like passive income and any moves I made financially. So just a couple side things that I do. Well, YouTube counts. Made a couple dollars off of that. And I promote the MUDFLAP app. Made a couple dollars off of that. People are starting to use that, man. Fuel prices are going up. They're getting pretty high. If you don't know about MUDFLAP, check the links in the description below. Check all the links in the description below. A couple good different discounts there for people to check on. I don't promote things I don't use or believe in. I've turned down a lot of money, but I do promote a couple things. I use them. I think they're good products. Anyway, so there's that. And then let's talk a minute about the passive income dividend portfolio that pays me every week of the year. Dividends from different investments. We got one dividend increase this week. That was Stag Industrials. They are a like a warehouse or a factory, the industrial property REIT, real estate investment trust. And they own some of the Amazon properties, as well as other warehousing, stuff like that. Chances are, if you're a truck driver, you may have been to a Stag Industrials property in your career. Raise their dividend 0.83%. Less than 1%, but hey, I'll take it. Free money for doing nothing. Who paid this week? Ticker symbol MO, Altria paid. York Water Company paid. Stag Industrials paid. Realty Income paid, ticker symbol O. So that's all for this week. And something that kind of happened here is we've talked in late December a lot about the Pfizer spinoff of Viatris. I said Pfizer kept their dividend the same for a while. Well, they finally equaled it out here. Viatris is going to start paying a dividend. I think they said equal to 25% of their free cash flow. So that'll just be added income. Now, to offset that, Pfizer reduced their dividend by that amount of whatever Viatris is going to pay. So the one company spun off, and we're going to get income from both now, but it's going to be equal to the previous amount that Pfizer paid. But going forward, I would expect regular dividend increases from both of them. So we'll be getting increases from two sources now instead of just one. So in the long term, I think it's going to be, we're going to be way better off for it. So what did I buy this week? Well, I bought some more Viatris. It's kind of outside my goals for 2021, but it's just a very small purchase to round off the number of shares I got. Kind of weird that way. I like round numbers. And then I bought some more Southern Company, a regulated utility, and I bought some more General Mills, which is on my list of things to buy for 2021. Kind of taking a more conservative approach for 2021. I think I'm going to probably be going big in utilities, not just electric utilities, but different kinds of utilities for the year. And I've thought a lot about that strategy, and I think I'm pretty comfortable with it. Paring back the amount of dollars I'm putting in here recently, because I've been making some significant investments in my business. Just made another one this week, just picking up this new trailer that I bought. So added some more equipment. That's a pretty significant investment, but I feel like, hey, for this year, that's a good thing to do with my money if I have everything else in order, debt and personal stuff like that. So we'll put it back into the business a little bit. So now I talked last week about, I promised this week I would talk about my biggest L ever, my biggest loss. And the reason I'm doing this, well, number one, I've discovered that people on YouTube love to see when you screw up, and they love to see failures. So I'll just throw this out there, and I'm sure you'll get the normal critics of, oh, you dummy, and why'd you do that? But here's what it is, because I learned a lot from it. I can't say that the lessons that I learned were worth the amount of money that I lost, because it was a pretty significant amount of money, but I learned the lessons nonetheless, and I've made some changes going forward. So I'm just going to share it with you today. Back in 2008, during the financial crisis, obviously the markets were crap, trucking was crap, the rates were bad, the volumes were bad, a lot of things were bad in 2008. A lot of people lost their homes, unemployment was high, but something that was on the rise and just booming were precious metals, gold and silver. So I had already been an investor in a little bit in gold and silver, but I decided to go big in 2008, into silver in particular. Now, when I had started investing in silver in the, I guess it was in the 90s, silver was probably $5 an ounce, something like that, right around there, maybe 4 something an ounce. And I was, I'd go every week to my local coin shop, and I'd buy a little bit of silver. Well, 2008, I started seeing, because I always believed that it was going to go up. I started seeing in 2008 climbing, and I'm buying all the way up. But I'm not buying physical silver. I'm buying shares in a silver ETF. Now, I was careful when I selected this. It was a mutual fund or an ETF. I can't remember. I think it was a mutual fund. It was SIVR, the Sprott Physical Silver Fund. I think that's the ticker, SILV or SIVR. I can't remember. Doesn't matter anyway. It was the Sprott Physical Silver Fund. Now, I chose that one because they had the inventory on hand. A lot of times when you're trading silver and gold on paper, any precious metals, they don't hold the metal. They just hold paper backing the metal. Well, the Sprott funds were audited to actually possess the metal that they were selling in the investment. So I thought, okay, that's cool. I like that because, I'm not into trading. What's the point of trading physical metals if you don't own them? So I thought this was the next best thing. Piling money in, piling money in, to the point where I started taking money out of other things and putting into silver. Well, the price ran all the way up to mid 50s dollars an ounce, 50 something and change dollars an ounce. So I was sitting pretty, patting myself on the back, good job. Well, I continued to go in, I thought every time it went down, I thought, man, I'm buying the dip, but it's going higher. Well, guess what? It just continued to go down and down and down. I think it bottomed around $11 an ounce, but it stayed between that $13 to $17 an ounce range from, my memory serves me right, like 2010, 2009, late 2009 to 2010. It stayed trading in that range, and it never came back. I mean, I held it in that range for 10 years before I decided, you know what, this is going absolutely nowhere. I'm not getting any dividends off it. I've lost, are you ready for this? I've lost $30,000 is what I lost. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to me. I mean, it wasn't all my money, but it hurt. It hurt a lot. So, eventually, I held this thing for 10 years after that, going sideways, not receiving any income off it. I didn't hold the metals in my possession. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take this lump and I'm gonna move on. Well, since then, of course, silver's gone up a little bit. I still don't regret the decision to sell it, because, and then here's what I learned from that, okay? Number one, I won't even come close to putting more than 10% of my eggs in one basket since then. I spread that money around, okay? Because it was a good amount of money. It hurt, you know, but I didn't feel like I was doing myself. I missed a lot of other opportunities by holding it longer than I should have. Number two, that normalcy bias of things always go up or like buy the dip, you know, unless there's something solid behind it. I don't believe that. I never really did, but I got caught in the hype. Well, that's the third lesson, getting caught in a hype. If you're seeing something on TV, hearing about it on the financial news, buddies are telling you about it that don't know anything about silver, whatever. And this, I'm not picking on silver, I'm saying the one particular thing. It's like in the housing boom when people were buying houses sight unseen. You know you're in a bubble. When Joe down at the post office is telling you to buy a stock or a silver or whatever, it's time to get out. That's one sign of a bubble. When you know when your great grandma Hilda is piling money into something because she saw it on television. Time to get out. Fourth thing I learned, and I knew this going into it, but I violated my own rules. Well, that's another thing. Stick to my rules. So leads me to the fifth thing. Precious metals, the only way I will own precious metals going forward in my life is in the hand, okay? That's one of those things, if you don't have it in your hand, you do not own it. I don't care if it's audited. I don't care if it's gold stocks, gold ETFs. I want it in my hand. Hell, I don't even care if it's in my hand, but it's like a necklace, you know? That's a bad way to own precious metals, but it's better than not owning them at all. So I want the coins in my hand, or I don't own it. What else did I learn? I learned not to get emotionally attached to an investment. And I guess I could still say that there are certain things I own that, I don't know if I call it an emotional attachment, but I have a strong conviction about them. But this thing went beyond that. Like, it was something to where, like, there's no way I'm wrong. You know, gotta admit when you're wrong. Sometimes you take your lumps and move on. So I'm not afraid to take a loss at a certain point where it makes sense. And I kind of going back to why I'm sharing this thing, because I see it, the cycle continues over and over again. And it's not just young people, it's not just inexperienced people. There's people that should know better. But, you know, we see these cycles repeating themselves over and over again. Whether it's, I don't know, Bitcoin or flipping houses. That's all the rage these days, you know, for the last how many years. People don't think they can lose money in things. And they can, and it's very real, and sometimes you do, and everybody does now and then. But sometimes you almost got to go through a loss like this to make you a better investor, more responsible with your money. I don't know. You know, a few years ago when Bitcoin was just hot as heck and people were taking second mortgages on their home to buy Bitcoin, I'm like, okay, that's a bubble right there. And sure enough, it was at the top and they lost everything. I guess the experience made me more cautious and care more about my hard-earned money. And it doesn't have to be like on a scale like that for everybody. Like for some people to lose $500 would be devastating. And you know, it's just all kind of where you're at and where your comfort level is. Right? But anyway, if you like these kind of conversations, like these kinds of topics, you know, check out some links to the videos on the screen right now. Utilize the links in the description below, and we will see you next time for another Trucker Money.